Welcome. This is Map Marketing and I am your host, Rachel Klaver. I love helping small business owners become more confident and more capable with their marketing. So this podcast is all here to help you do just that. It's me and the help of some great guests helping you learn new skills, new strategies and ideas. Let's jump in and get started. Hi, my name is Rachel Klaver and I'm the host of Map Marketing. About once a fortnight, Sarah Galbraith from The Social Approach and I do an Instagram Live where we share updates, changes, and the way that we're applying social media to our business and how we are recommending it to our clients. It's a real kind of chew the fat session where we go through all the different things we're trying and testing, what's worked and what hasn't, and then we share them with you. Our lives are quite popular, but we know that not everyone can be there for our Instagram Live or want to sift through 40 minutes of videos. So we've turned this into a little mini podcast extra to add to your current Map It Marketing enjoyment. So settle in, listen to our stories as we talk about how we are using social media in real life as it changes in our businesses. Hello, it's Rachel Klaver and welcome to our regular session with Sarah Galbraith. She has from The Social Approach, and she and I are going to be sharing with you a whole bunch of different things that we are trialing, what we've learned, and what we've seen across social media in the last 2 weeks. This is a live video that I'm doing with you, but it's also going to be a podcast on the Map It Marketing podcast. If you miss some of this, you should be able to listen and catch the audio then. And for those of you listening on the podcast, hello. I'm just waiting for Sarah to jump on board now, so hopefully she'll be here. We're going to cover a whole bunch of things. So we're going to cover some Instagram changes. I'm going to share a little bit about my launch this week and kind of what I learned from it as well. And we're going to walk through and share things that we're trying, things that we find difficult, and share with you just from what we're experiencing. We are going to share what we found works for our clients as well, and just help you unpick all the crazy noise and things around the landscape of digital marketing and how to make it work. So Sarah's just going to jump on in just a moment. If you have any questions or you want to know anything, you can find out and ask the questions and answer. Hello, Sarah. It's lovely to see you.
Hi, Rachel. How are you?
I'm super excited because one,
Yes.
I worked out how to start this properly. Hi, Kirsty, by the way. It's good to see you. Two, I've actually remembered to plug in my thing. Three,
Yes.
I have the notes that we're going to cover set up so I can see it. I just feel like this is going to be good.
You are on fire. I have one, organised better Wi-Fi, but it's still coming. I have two, moved upstairs today, so I am closer to the Wi-Fi. And three, what was your last one? I had one that was going to go with the...
I've got the notes.
Oh, you've got the notes? You're organised. Hats off to you.
Well, I would like to say that, but I realized something terrible about myself today, and it kind of relates to what we're talking about here. I have realized that one of my biggest strengths is I'm an action taker, but my biggest weakness is I'm an action taker. And what I mean by that is I don't want to do all the work before I start taking action.
Right.
I've worked out. Like
Yes.
I'll hear a snippet and go, oh, and then I do a whole lot of stuff, and then I don't listen to the rest of it to see if it was actually a good idea.
Yeah, but I think it's called an activator, isn't it? In the
Yes.
In the
Gallup
whatever it is,
yeah.
the Gallup Strength Finder. It's called an activator, and I am not an activator, but I am an includer. And
Nice.
yes, and my husband Andy, he is the visionary. He verbalizes everything, and I have adaptability. So I'm like say with someone like you, I'm like, vision and action. I'm like, okay, let's go. And no, the direction's changed. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
So I've got adaptability. So I'm all good going with the flow because that's my nature. And I think we were talking earlier in the week actually about our natures, because you having a launch and me having a launch, but our natures are very, very different in that you are a goal setter, and I have never been a goals person. That didn't show up in my strength finder at all. So to be doing this launch is kind of whoa for me. And I think there's a lot of people in business that aren't necessarily normally the big thinkers, but we're stepping outside our comfort zones. But then we need people like you in our lives because you keep us on track, motivated. Next steps, come on.
Okay, so that's a really good, like I've got a list, and number 4 was the launching the course, but I actually thought it'd be helpful because I know you're launching your big thing, and I thought I might share kind of what I wanted to happen, what the outcome of what I did happened, and then what I found difficult, because I thought maybe it'll help you, but it'll also help anyone else that's listening, like whether it's Kirsty or Jack who joined or other people, to understand kind of what that process looked like.
I think that's a brilliant idea. I think like a launch isn't just a one-off. Like a launch can be over and over and over. And I know for the next year, I've got sort of 4 relaunches of it as we go planned, which is crazy for me not being the future person, but here I am. But I would love for you to share your advice with all of us, what you've learned, what you already know. Let's package it up and take some gold out of this.
Okay, so I think the biggest thing is, like, I know you said that I have goals. I have goals, but my goals tend to be around completion of stuff. I'm not very good at like picking a number and going, I want to achieve that. And I actually learned it from Bree from Simple Life Social. I think she's renamed her business actually. But when she was working with me, she'd go, oh, let's set a goal of like 20 people to come to this webinar or something like that. And I'd be like, well, what if we don't hit that? Because I like having goals I can hit. So sometimes having a number makes it scary. But I looked at it and I went, okay, my goal is I would like to sell 10 people to buy the course in the first week. That was my goal. And I kept it small. I knew that I could probably do more than that, but I kept it to something that I felt I would have to work a little bit to achieve, but not so hard that I couldn't structure. So I think that really helped. Not having a goal makes it hard to push through to kind of get that number, I think. So I definitely think having a number goal in mind is good. The second thing that I really learned, or 2 things. One, I actually used a kind of an American style sort of selling process where I contacted people way more than I personally felt comfortable with. So I just, that's all I want to do, and that should be enough, and people should just buy my stuff. Like, that's how I kind of feel like it should go. Yeah. But looking at this thing, I went, okay, if I'm going to commit to this and I'm going to get this, and I have to trust that the process, I'm going to take my learning and go, okay, so I wrote 4 emails that went out to different segments of the audience, like 3 different segments. So that was like 12 emails in total. I had a plan for my stories. I had a plan for my posting a little bit, and also my group. And I stuck to that. Now, one thing I really learned was that I did a lot of prep beforehand. So I jazzed people up before they came, so they knew. So I had like a pre-launch interested list, which I want you to do, like kind of like it's like, go, hey, I've got something exciting coming. I want you to come and be part of it. So you got that email list. So that was definitely part. 20% of the people that were on that list bought from me. That's a really high conversion rate.
That's a really high number. That's amazing.
So that really worked. And then I did it, but I'll tell you what I learned. I didn't get all my prep done, and this is good for you because you are a planner with prep. Like, you are meticulous with this stuff, and I'm a bit slapdash. And I lost energy by Wednesday. Like, I was tired because I was trying to do launch and a normal work week, and I was tired. And I kind of thought that I'd be able to do a few other bits that week, and I just wing it. I was too tired. So I reckon my goal was to sell 10 places. We actually sold 20.
That's incredible.
Which is awesome.
Congratulations to you.
I was really happy. We had 5 people on the Monday email me and ask if they could get the discount, and I said no, because I'd made it really strict. That was that time.
Well done.
That was hard for me because I'm a people pleaser, but I really wanted to do that. But I will say that if you are going to do any launching, like if you're going to launch anything, you must do all the launch prep the week before minimum. You do the launch, because launch week, it's kind of like getting married. Like when you get married and you're at that wedding, you don't want to be sitting and organizing when the flowers are coming. It all has to be prearranged before the day. So all your launch week, everything has to be written, scheduled, sorted, planned, organized exactly, so that it can just roll out. And then it also forces you to roll it out.
I think that's really good advice for me and for other people doing launches, because contrary to popular belief, I am more a winger. So I am just, for me, having a launch coming up, and my first real major launch, like I did a small launch, last year or whenever it was, when I was doing one-on-one coaching, but I'm not doing that now. But for me, that planning ahead, like I know that for my thing, I'm putting in lots of work right now because I'm terrified of dropping the ball, right? I'm terrified of dropping the ball. If there's people signing up something, you don't want to drop the ball halfway through. So I think that planning is really solid advice. And when you said it to me, I was like, oh yeah. You're right. Because I know the direction I'm going, but I'm like you. Often you're not always like this, but sometimes I know we both are. We will write the post on the day, and that's a real temptation for us to get into because we write posts all the time. But this is also a COVID world, and so we have to be prepared for the fact that we might not feel well on launch week.
Exactly.
We might be awesome. We might be just beautifully healthy.
Yes.
But with the changing nature right now, no one wants to drop the ball because they've got a cold, a sore throat,
and
Omicron, whatever it is.
Launch day, I had to go get a COVID test. And I was like, is this the start of me having to be like stuck at home for like 24 days or something? Like, I was just like, but so I had that. If I didn't have the plan, I would have been sunk in all that work.
Yes. Oh, and that is the last thing anyone wants when you've put in all that prep to be taken out through lack of preparation with those final things. I think that advice is gold, and everyone go and write it down. Go write it in your notebook because it's
shall I give you the structure that I did, by the way?
Yes,
the first day I just did like we're open, we've launched, this is how many days you've got to get the deal. The second day I did a testimonials one, so I actually had like some beta testers, so I got a couple of testimonials and I used the testimonial, and I did this across the board, so whatever I did in the emails was everywhere else. So I did a testimonial the second day. The third day I answered frequently asked questions.
Yes.
And then the last one, which was a few days after that, I probably could have fitted another email in, to be honest, but I didn't write them and I totally had run out of puff. But on the very last day of launch, I did hey, look, I know it's the weekend, but this is the last day. And we did get like 6, I think we got maybe 5 orders on that day from that email. So that very last minute one.
That's amazing.
So it really, and it feels pushy, but we had no unsubscribes during the week. So it definitely does make a difference. And I told people, look, this is going to happen. I did say in that first email, guys, I'm launching this week. So there will be 4 emails. Just ignore them if you don't want them. We just go back to regular emails afterwards. So I kind of make sure that I do that, you know. So I think that that's a really important part of it as well. And measuring, doing the same thing on every platform, the same message made it much more manageable for me.
Okay, so you used exactly the same across all of them?
Pretty much, just the same. Like I used the same testimonial, or I pulled a bit out. And the other thing that I found was useful is I didn't use my Instagram feed. I only use it once because I do feel that the feed, and this is something just around Instagram, and we'll start talking about Instagram in a minute. But I do think that for me, the feed should not have a lot of promotional stuff in it. It really should be about building that relationship and building that need to work with us. So I don't want to fill my whole feed with launch, because that's only really catering to a really small number of people. So I use my stories heavily to do that. And I definitely converted people through my stories.
There you go. See, that's a lot of people will do it the other way around, where they'll use their stories completely for behind the scenes and their feed for anything informational or sales. But actually turn that on its head and you've got a winning formula.
Absolutely. That has totally changed. I just now use stories pretty much for all my selling.
Yeah, so interesting. And what are you finding with the people that don't go into stories? Tell me about that.
Well, I'm capturing them in other places, I think. You know, like they did get that first one. I still put like a link to it in post, but it was like, oh, I happen to be talking about this in my thing, and oh, it's a launch week. But it was just a gentle call to action instead of a big launch post. Yeah.
I love gentle calls to action. I did I think calls to action, especially in your feed, there's there's different trains of thought, and some people are like, you should use your feed to sell, and like you and I, we're more like, hey, this is building trust, it's showing yourself as an expert, it's building rapport and relationship. And I think calls to action are still really important. But as someone commented today, they were like, oh, I hadn't thought of using calls to action because I only ever thought of them as sales. but it might be just a DM me or a double click or like the one I did yesterday, smoothie flavors, because it's all engagement, and and when someone interacts on your feed, it means they're more likely to see your future posts, and when you get to that launch, they're more likely to see it.
Yeah, and I think the thing with the launch too is that most people that are just hanging out on your feed and not in your stories are not your most engaged people. And when you look at that customer journey, really we want people who are ready to, I've just written this book with Be a Spider Called a Web, and I say it's the hub. We want people who are ready to come and visit me at the hub or are ready to buy. And they are on the feed, but they're really more on the stories. Like, people that are coming and watching your stories are your most engaged people. So if you should really only be selling to your most engaged people. Like, you might catch the odd freak wave of someone, but that won't impact as much.
Yeah, most of your sales are not going to come through your feed.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's where you build authority, though, I think, and trust. Authority,
educational, connected material.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So tell me a little bit about what you've learned about Instagram this week, because you're always up with the play. Have you seen anything in the last couple of weeks that you've gone, oh, that's interesting?
Well, I think I mentioned to you last time that we chatted that I had noticed a change with Adam Mosseri's styles of reels, and I'm seeing that continue. He's doing his communication type reels, communication type videos. He's turned into reels, and he's doing that. And they are, of course, longer. And so yesterday I experimented with doing it was a real risk. I experimented with a long reel, and I knew that for Instagram, long reels do not normally go down well, because Instagram's only going to show them to people if they keep watching it. So I experimented with a long reel and me talking. So those are not, when it comes to reels, those are not winning factors.
No.
But I won. I feel like I won the internet.
That is amazing. Tell me what happened.
I know. So it just picked up views, and they just keep going all night. And people were saying, Sarah, I watched that right till the end. So I think when you can do, so I've realized there is a place for longer content and reels. Adam Mosseri's doing it. So if he's doing it, he's modeling what Instagram's about. He's modeling everything. So if he's modeling that, then I think we should be willing to give it a go. So I think for me, he can sit there because he's got a face of authority. So he can just sit there in one spot. But I just, walked in and out of the shot a little bit, did some extra things, but made it really, I feel like, quite conversational, which is more a TikTok thing you would normally think. So I don't know, I was quite excited about the success of this reel, because I feel like it opens up new avenues within reels. And actually, talking about TikTok, I saw someone on TikTok make a comment this week, and I thought this was actually quite insightful, the difference between TikTok and Instagram. And I think it's something a little bit to grapple with and think about, and I'm not sure too much how it's going to apply. But she said TikTok was built out of raw video. So people expect to sit there and watch really raw and unprofessional, just real, stuff that's not real slick. But Instagram was born from photography and beautiful feeds and, beautiful content. Everyone used to post their beautiful lunch or, their beautiful beach scene or, those sorts of things. And so the type of people on Instagram are often drawn to something a little bit more visually attractive, which is why what works on TikTok doesn't necessarily work on Reels, which is interesting because Adam Mosseri is trying to compete very clearly with TikTok, but they've been born from a different base audience from where they started. So
that's quite fascinating.
I thought it was a really interesting comment, and I'm not sure where to go with that, but I thought it was just something to think about.
I like that.
It does affect things.
I do like that, but then I think about it, and I think about my age group who, 50, and I'm really opening that up on TikTok. Like I did, I've done 3 posts in the last week where I actually name my name. I've actually changed my profile to say "am old lady" at the end, just to make sure people know that I'm an old lady. I'm just going to own it. But what
I
I take with those, yeah, I think that's good, you know. But a lot of those people have come from Instagram. So I think like there's more of a blend happening. And I do agree with you. I think on Instagram, like lighting has to be better. Like I could probably get away with going like reasonably viral, have big views, if doing a chatty little storytelling, sitting in a car in TikTok. If I was doing that on Instagram, I would need to make sure I had my lighting. I did that. So I do a lot of mine that I think can transfer over to Instagram. I've actually just done one. I'm trying to learn how to do storytelling. So I think that will translate to those longer reels really well. Yeah. I just did one this morning talking about and I showed, you know, here's my costumes as a 50-year-old woman. And this is why I have these costumes. And then I talk about how I got a lead role, but I read an article in 17 magazine when I was like 16 that said that your thighs shouldn't touch when they're next to each other. So I gave away the role because my thighs touched and didn't want anyone to notice it, and how it impacted me. And now I wear costumes all the time to compensate. And it's my therapy. And I kind of like told that story, which I've just told now. So no one's going to be wanting to hear it again. But I am trying to find ways to go, here's a story or a truth. I've got 60 seconds. How can I tell this in punchy little bits and edit it to tell a story that keeps people engaged in a really simple way, but still only takes a few minutes to make?
I feel like that's probably the key to what I did yesterday too. It was like, how can I tell a story that's relatable, that's not my story? How can I put what we're teaching into real world context instead of just do this, but put it into a real world context that everyone kind of relates to? So I think that's a real good key. The other thing I discovered on Reels, and it might have been there for a little bit, I have been off a lot over summer, but the ability now not just to add your music, but also to add sound effects.
I use them. Oh my gosh. And you can do more than one sound effect. Yes. And you can layer them. And I love it.
So I did that yesterday on that reel. And what that does, it just adds a little bit more, again, a little bit of pizzazz. Trying to find the right word. Pizzing, I was going to say. So it just adds a little bit more interest instead of visual interest, audio interest. But those little things, they work similar to transitions. They're enough to keep attention. They just keep things, it just brings everything to a slightly higher level. And we're lucky on Instagram. I mean, I know a lot of people hate Instagram Reels because they think it's not as technologically advanced as TikTok or whatever. But I love that they've created this platform where we can actually create video content ourselves. We can add sound effects. We can do these things. And we don't need a degree in video. We can do it.
And I mean, you come from a video company, so you know. And I agree. I used actually a TikTok video that I'd taken the logo off. I put it up. I redid the audio over it. I added a trending sound, and I added music, and I added a trending filter for one of mine. So because one of the things that I heard or I learned was that Instagram, because it's not just trending sounds that we need to think about. There's trending filters, there's trending sound effects, there's a whole lot of different trending things that you can do, and it's using the way that the app wants you to use it. So like, for example, as much as possible, can't always do it. If I'm doing a voiceover, I try and do it within the app because Instagram prefers it, and actually the sound is really good. That's great. So it means sometimes I've got to do a double up. So it's more if I've got like just a pictorial thing. I will upload it into the two different ones and use the organic voiceover app in either one of them to kind of get that sound going. Just to kind of do that.
That's a really good thought, because yesterday with that one, I'd filmed it outside of the app, and then I did all my effects inside of Instagram, and then I was like, now I haven't got all that on the video, and I don't want to just download the video because you don't, there's music rights and things that you've got to be aware of. But if I take that video, like you're saying, I can re-upload it in TikTok and re-edit it. It's going to look slightly different because it's going to use some TikTok features. It's going to keep TikTok happy, and it's not going to be a carbon copy, but it's going to be that same really good content. So I think that's another good idea.
So while we're on this, I've just typed Notion into the notes here, and I want to talk about this. I am like completely obsessed with this platform. So I am a collector of ideas all the time. I'm always looking at things and working out what to do. And I've started using an app called Notion. Have you heard of it?
No, I've never heard of it.
So you can have it on your phone, you can have it on your laptop, and they sync. And so if I find a TikTok or a reel that I like, I just copy the link of it and put it in there and then say why I like it. Because I was like saving things in places, downloading things into my phone, not knowing where they were. I also use it if I have a post that goes off, like does really well. I then like send a link to that to Notion and like say this would be a good video. So it's making it better for me to kind of work things out. I just use it as a dumping station. And then when I have my content day, I sit down and I go, here's all the stuff I want to talk about. Now let's go look at Notion. Are there any ideas there that I had that I can translate? And it's really helped me use different ways of doing things that I didn't do before.
I love that idea because I'm like you. I've got about 5 different email addresses they've all gone to, 5 different inboxes. They're all saved in different folders. And I'm like, did I save that on TikTok, or did I send it to myself, or did I send it to my Instagram or my personal Instagram, or where did I save it? I spent half an hour looking for it.
Yeah.
And
the other thing I really liked about it
altogether that I
it's
that
so
I saved
hard.
it.
I'm using it for lots of things, and also did things like I had my promo codes. I just had like a sticky note that had them in, so I could go there because I don't having to go back and look at emails. It has like a reading list. So I've got like TikToks where someone or a reel or a post where someone's got like really good value. And again, I save those and I don't come back to them. What I'm doing now is putting them in there and saying why I saved it. So when I go and go, if I want to work on content strategy or video tips or something like that, I've got them like catalogs and I can quickly skim through, create my own thing from a summation of all these ideas.
Rachel, you are dishing out the gold today.
Honestly,
you're like throwing money around. It's like,
it's
have this for free.
This is what I'm like when I'm not burnt out. Like this is this is my non-burnt out life. I was like, I don't know how I managed to get anything done last year. I was burnt out for nearly all of last year. I'm not anymore, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this was what I used to be like. This is crazy.
I think a lot of us got burnt out last year, and I don't know if it was all the lockdowns. We didn't even have the lockdowns that you had. But I was like, you got to the end of the year and I felt shattered. I looked at my very last video that I did of the year. I was like, oh my gosh, I look like a wreck.
I was just like, I want people to comment on my stuff, but seriously, if anyone comments my stuff and I have to answer back to them, I will not be interested.
And I was actually a bit worried coming back into work that I would not find my energy again.
Me too.
But like you, I'm glad to say I have found it. And I'm happy about this year.
I think, in all honesty, part of my the fact that it is easier really is partly because I actually am putting aside time. Like this week's been short and I can feel this tension, but I am putting aside time to actually really work on my own strategy, my own thinking. And that is definitely making an impact. As business owners, we really have to allow ourselves to have time to work on our own business. That is really important. And for so long I would make it a evening, early morning, Saturday morning job, and that's not what I want you guys, like anyone else, to do. And so for me to do that was really hypocritical, to be honest.
Well, it's easy when you know what should be happening. Easy to say. So I've done a the same but different. And this has really helped me, is I've actually brought people into my team to keep me accountable and to give me mini assignments, because if I look at everything, I will just be overwhelmed. I will not do it because I'm just like, well, too much. But if I can have someone on my team, you know, even just a handful of hours a week even makes a massive difference, to say, Sarah, can you send me this? Okay, great, mini assignments. I can achieve that. You know, we get together, we talk about everything that needs to be done, and then they'll send me a little mini assignment. And I think if you are in business and you're feeling overwhelmed by the big picture, get someone on your team, even if it's your partner, business partner, someone external, whatever it is. Find someone that can help, that you can discuss the big picture with, and then can send you mini assignments. Because for me, that has really helped my headspace this year when because I am looking at the big picture. I can't drill down into the details because my brain can't do both at once. So, but if someone can send me a mini assignment of what I've assigned for them, just assign back to me.
I do that too. I think that is a good
so much
trick.
more manageable.
Yeah, you don't feel so alone. And like, because I've just finished my book, and I was talking about the new book that I want to do with my editor, who's also my daughter. And I said, dude, this time around with the book, I'm going to do it the way I used to do it. I wrote this book pretty much, did the whole thing. And we've actually rechanged a whole lot of it since that first draft, which is why it's not in yet. But the reason that happened was I didn't have a mini assignment. So this year when I write my new book, I'm going to, every time I write a chapter, send it to her. My mini assignment is to send her chapters in particular times, just to get that consistency. Can I show you what, this is a visual thing. I just did a TikTok on this actually, but I am also very easily distracted. And so what I did is I created myself like a vision book. Oh. And I'm just showing it to you now. But what I do is each part of this is a different part of my business, and I get very easily distracted. So, for example, when I'm working on my book, I've actually got like a 2-pager one that I use for my book. And so I use it there. And so when I'm like looking into space, it's actually in front of me, and I go, oops, I'm meant to be working on my book, and it helps pull me back, but it's still got like all the motivational ideas in it to help me keep focused.
Wow, and that is beautiful. Show that again. It's
really
beautiful.
I love it actually. So this is kind of like my plan for my big publishing company one day that I haven't done yet, that I've got in here things around just like coaching programs and kind of what I want to do or focus on. So there's bits and pieces around that, like what things I might want to do. So it's something I do when I'm feeling a bit frazzled, as I sit there with a bit of like paper, and I've got like a New Zealand map here of places that I want to target and talk to. And I actually use it as a place to kind of, I guess, defrag my brain, but it also helps me when I'm doing the work to reflect and remember that in my creativity space, this is where I thought I should be with this, and this is where I'm headed. So don't get distracted in the task at hand.
Yeah. Let someone else worry about the task. Just give you the mini assignment, and then you get it out of your head. Then it's out of your head. You don't have to think about it.
So this one says new book. You just have to do it. So I often have that there when I'm working on my book. So we talked about Instagram. I love that stuff about the reels. I thought I'd just briefly say with TikTok. So there was a trend on TikTok, which was 7 seconds of putting something there with some text, and it went through like wildfire. And some people got like 10,000 followers overnight by using this trend. I certainly didn't. And I think one of the things that happened with it is people got stuck on this concept around why it worked. And I want to just go through why it did work. So for 2 reasons. 1, 7 seconds. So very short. So it's very easy to get to the end. On TikTok, when you watch a video, it automatically loops back. So you've watched the whole thing. You start watching again. The watch time has automatically gone up, which means that TikTok goes, it's a successful video, pushes it out more. By putting lots of text on it, which actually reels don't like you putting lots of text on it, but on TikTok, lots of text on it, it was too long to read. And I worked out fairly early on, if you just press pause, you can, after 2 seconds, you can read it all and then go away. But most people, they're scrolling, they forget. So they have to read it like 4 or 5 times to get it. So it's playing all that time. Again, TikTok goes, popular video, pushes it out. And it's just a reminder that sometimes things aren't best for the brand or like aren't best, but it's just that click of the algorithm. And it is a reminder to just stay in touch with how the algorithm treats you. So what I did is I went, okay, what I need to do is I need to do some shorter videos under that 7 seconds to kind of push through. So I created a few really punchy ones, and they've had quite a lot of shares and reach, but they aren't in that kind of space.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've always been keen on, I've always thought of 7 seconds as being like a marker in time as well. For if you can keep a reel under that, I think it's quite difficult.
It's very difficult.
And to do it well, but that is a sweet spot. And same if you're doing, I think, YouTube ads, you don't want them to go on and on and on unless it's very, very clever and you're telling a very good story. You want to keep them really short and succinct if you're doing any kind of video. And that's why it's a risk. Yesterday with doing this long reel,
it's awesome.
It was such a risk, but you've got to try these things. And I've decided on the back of that, I might try it for another week and then decide that was all just a fluke. But I've decided on the back of that, I'm going to try and do a bigger one like that, maybe once a week, and see how it goes. Try that whole applying something to a real life scenario and doing a longer video once a week and just seeing where that goes. And then the rest around that will be shorter, probably a little bit more fun. And then hopefully have this more hero piece of content once a week. And I'm just going to play with that and see if that does come to anything, because I found that quite a surprise. I found it, in fact, when I posted it, I said to a girl that works with us and my husband, I said, I even said, it's not going to do well. I said, it doesn't have trending music, it's got my own voice, it's long, but I want to give this a go. So yeah, funny, isn't it?
I think it's really good to try those things and see if they work. I know that I have had success. My most popular reel ever on TikTok was almost 2 minutes long. Oh no, 2 minutes, 60 seconds, just under 60 seconds long. So it was it was when we first started doing it, it was really long. It was my Today in 50, and it was quite a long one, and it was very successful. On TikTok, one of my most popular ones is almost 3 minutes long, because that's the maximum time. That's why I got confused. So that it does, you can do them as long as they are created. And I do think there is room to use them in more depth. And I think too, and one of the things I've been really working on is that whole thing between reach and getting that nurtured, connected stage. And I think those ones will sometimes get reach, but what they really do is also really feed your existing audience and bring them in deeper in a way that you can't do with a 7-second reel.
It's the carousel version of a video.
Yes, it's a carousel version of video.
Yeah.
I like
a bit more in depth. Yeah. There was another new thing, Adam Siri. I like to keep tabs on his posts, as you can see.
Yeah, it's great.
This morning, I think it was this morning, he put out a video about avatars, and I was like, oh yeah, avatars, whatever. Yeah. But he's saying it's going to be really important in the future, your metaverse avatar, because it will go across different platforms outside of the metaverse. It'll go across all sorts of things, and it's going to be a part of this whole metaverse thing, and you'll be able to attach NFTs to it and really personalize, add products to it, and all these weird things with your avatar, which to me sounds kind of odd. I'm not really getting my head around this. I don't really get my head around NFTs, I'll be honest. But I know there's people here that just are really good at them and have skills in that area. That's not my skill. But so I did go on and created my avatar, which you can do, go into your account settings. There's a new place there now called Avatar.
And Instagram?
On Instagram.
Oh.
And if I tell you, my avatar looks nothing like me. I think they need to add more options.
I might try and do that just for fun. I mean, yes, obviously they do that on Facebook. They have that kind of avatar thing that you can use for stickers and stuff.
Yeah.
But, excuse me while I just go and sit under the desk and rock myself to sleep crying for a few hours. Like, I understand it. But, one of the things I heard was that Bill Gates said that in 3 years we'll be living in the metaverse. And I saw this hilarious thing that said, guys, we're still trying to get people to turn the camera on during Zoom.
Yes.
I have done so many Zoom meetings this week where someone's going, sorry, I can't work out how to use the microphone today.
That's right.
Which metaverse? Who is in this metaverse?
I don't know. I think it's just cheeky people like the idea, to be honest. And, we probably in 5 years' time, we'll all be au fait with it.
Oh,
and,
I'm
we'll
just
just
not
roll
going
with
to be an
it.
early adopter. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm not really, I feel like it's something that techie people are loving. Kind of like Google Glasses when they came out all those years ago and they just didn't take off. I feel like it has that potential. But we'll probably
I think that is very
words.
true. I think that is very, very true. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I think this is awesome. And we've been talking for a while, which is I think it's great. And I am going to put this on our podcast. I've worked out how to do that. I was listening to Chris, the sales guy, and I was listening to his podcast and realized it was alive. So I messaged him and said, Chris, how do you do that? Because I Googled it everywhere, and it goes, it's simple. I've got a carousel post. Here it is. This is how you do it. So I was like, we are sorted, because it was such a big thing. And I know that people like listening to it. It's good to put it on the podcast. So I'm hoping this one will be out next Tuesday so that you can catch it before the next one. Next Friday, I've got Matthew from #Slayer. And so I would like to, and our next session after that, we'll talk about some of the stuff I've learned. I'm so converted to #Slayer. It's such a great thing. And I've got like a little code so people can try it. But I also just want to say, like, one of my goals this year was to grow my YouTube channel. And I'm just going to give you a quick update as my accountability. I'm doing a shit job. I think I am going through what so many of my clients are going through. I am paralyzed with fear that it's not going to be good enough. And I'm paralyzed with like how to get started and stuff like that. So this week I've made myself to do videos. They have like my intro, which I wanted to do, and those sort of things. They are not perfect. They are not great, but I'm making myself post not great stuff, a little bit shit stuff, just to kind of live and breathe that transition and practice of doing bad stuff to get better.
I think that's good. And get someone to give you mini assignments so that you don't look at the whole thing and freak out.
I think that is the key. I also spent a lot of money on an adapter so that I have a better camera. However, they didn't arrive. So I still did them with my normal camera, which is just a reminder that sometimes you don't have to spend a lot of money to get the job done.
That's right. I think we sometimes use these things as excuses.
I totally use them as an excuse. Sarah,
we're real people.
We are. It's been a pleasure as always. We're going to catch up in a fortnight again-ish to talk about some of these other things. Thanks to those people that listened in. If you guys have got questions, let us know. And this will be on the podcast very soon.
How exciting.
Cool.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you. Bye.
I hope that you enjoyed this bonus episode of me, Rachel Klaver, and Sarah Galbraith from The Social Approach, enjoying talking about the changes that are happening in social media and how we're applying them to our business. We'll be back again on Friday with our normal programming, but please listen out for these episodes around about once a fortnight if you want to hear a down-to-earth work through of what's new, what's hot, what's working, what's not in your business with social media changes. See you on Friday. If you love what you heard today, be sure to hit subscribe. And if you loved this episode in particular, I'd love it if you shared it on social media. Remember to tag me in so I can say thank you. Have a great week, and we'll talk soon.